Well, great day yesterday for the Razorcraft. Harry, mate, nice smooth conditions. You went beautifully.
Yeah, it was really, really good for us yesterday. It was like fantastic. We were just spewing the first race got red flag because we were doing all right. Giggling kept up, so it was going to be a really, really good race. Race number 2, we thought, you know what, just do the same thing, and it worked out well.
Your boat looks like you struggled obviously a little bit in the rough at Wyndham Harbour. What was the issue there?
Oh, Wyndham Harbour, so we had a bit of weight issue, so my gauge wasn't, because I used my fuel tank as a ballast, it wasn't showing that it was empty, and it was completely empty. So then when we filled up, race number 2, we didn't realise that on race number 1, because it was so rough, the batteries popped out, and then the battery fell out, we lost the earth wire on the motor, and that's it, it was all over. But it was a good comeback for this week.
Shane, it's a big job in the seat with you because in these smooth conditions, obviously you bang on that number of 65. You must keep you pretty busy.
Oh yes, very, very busy, and try not to yell at Harry too much. And just making sure, rubbernecking, watching giggling, making sure that he's not coming around the outside. But yeah, awesome.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that. I'd be more worried about it, and I was surprised they didn't try and do the big dive up the inside.
Yeah, they were all over the shop. I was going, Harry, he's on the inside. Oh no, he's on the outside. So yeah, we were watching him, but he knows his racecraft, so we got to watch him.
Yeah, well, I think those boys knew that a second was going to put them to the top of the table after a bad first round for you boys. But you've clawed your way back, so you've got a bit of work to do today.
Yeah. Look, I said to Shane actually on Thursday, I said, you know what, with the way the boat's set up now, I said I'm going to try 3 for 3. So if it's 3 for 3,
I've seen that ad on TV.
So if it's that part of it, I'll be very, very happy. So it's, as I said, I need redemption from last race.
Well done, boys. You're proving the brand. You're doing a great job. Good luck.
Thank you very much, Bishop.
Well, Hayden Waski, mate, big day for you yesterday. Unfortunately, I missed it. We missed it on the live stream as well. If you're going to crash your boat, you always want to get footage of it. But big rollover. What happened, please?
Yeah, well, we came into that first corner, Bisho, and hooked to the sponson, and the boat flipped over. We did a barrel roll and landed on the wheels, and that was it. But unfortunately, went in backwards at one stage, and it hydraulic the engine.
Yeah, that's really disappointing, mate, because brand new 300R on the back of this boat. How do we know it's been hydraulic? It can't turn it over, or?
Yeah, it's locking up, so we can get about 100 degrees movement out of it, and she's catching.
That's a shame, mate. Have you got a contingency plan for this one?
No, I'm going to go race with one of the other guys today.
Who are you jumping in with?
With Greg.
Excellent. So Greg's been running around, obviously, in Hun 74 by himself, so he's found someone silly enough to get in with him.
Yeah, that's it. We'll get him up there and see how we go.
Oh, mate, it's a real shame. The boat looked really good. Prior to that, it was going beautifully. I think the conditions were suiting it.
Yeah, prop selection is still an issue for us, so we're hopefully go to America and get one of those nice DeWalt 5-bladers, and I think the boat will settle down and it'll give us a lot more drive and stability. Even though it looks good, it's still a bit of a handful.
Oh, mate, sounds like an expensive couple of weeks coming up for you, mate.
Yeah, I think so, Bisho.
Sponsors want it.
Yeah. Come here.
There's lots of real estate on this big white boat.
Yeah, there is. I'm waiting for the right one.
All right, mate, bad luck. You're going well, but good to see you still smiling. We'll see you out there today.
Thanks, Bisho.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to round number 2, race number 2 of the Australian Offshore Superboat Championships. This is our Super Sport 65 category. We've got 9 of the best out here today on beautiful Corio Bay in Geelong, one of the most beautiful towns in Victoria. Massive shout out to the Geelong City Council who love us coming down here, and we love coming here as well. Beautiful Cunningham Pier in the background, and we've got boats out onto the course. So let's pan over to them, Neilo, and have a little bit of a look at what's going out on the course here. Not sure whether we're running a parade lap this morning, so we'll keep our eye on the start boat. I believe we are. So check us out on www.superboat.com.au. And of course all the social handles as well. I sound like one of those hip young dudes, don't I? Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Just bang Superboats into your Google machine and you'll be fine. You'll find it. You'll go to any one of them or into search on your Facebook, your Insta or YouTube. Superboats. That's what you need to be looking for. So, parade lap. We've got the Waterbird out there at the moment, our start boat. Massive shout out to our start boat crew on board the Waterbird. They've done a fantastic job. That was the 1988 World Championship water ski racing boat out of England. It towed Steve Moore to a World Championship. Gee, I tell you what, the con's in some very shallow water out there, Stevie. I'd be pushing in a little bit closer. It's quite shallow where those boys are at the moment. So let's have a little bit of a look. Nutcase, Giggling, our two form boats, Valentis, Pike Racing. We got the Con. Great to see those boys here today. Weren't here yesterday. Ran in the Super Sport 85 category earlier on. We'll talk about that a bit later. Cardiac Arrest. We've got Villain. We've got Stevie Polton in the loose wind. And the Con's Hun 74 machine out there with Greggy Walters, and I believe Hayden Waski has jumped in with Greg in this particular race as well. Hayden, of course, that big barrel roll yesterday, so no boat for him, so he's jumped in with Greg. Greg couldn't find anyone crazy enough to get in with him, and he found a kindred spirit in Hayden Waski. Who would have thought? Oh, I've just been given word that that's not the case. That's a shame. Thank you, Russell. So maybe Hayden came to his senses. Maybe one rollover is enough for the weekend for him. Who knows? So the Waterbird machine just bringing the boats down into the dogleg turn. This will be a good opportunity actually for Steve Lancaster and Craig Dove to just get this boat settled down after jumping out of their Cat, which unfortunately only got a couple laps done. I think maybe only one lap in actual fact, in their new Cat. They did run this particular boat at round number 1 in Wyndham Harbour, and I'll just have a look and let you know results from that particular round. Not run, they're actually not entered in the championship, so they don't have any points on that one, but they did do, from memory, quite well, and running up through the dogleg there in this particular boat. So it's a heartbeat hull. Big shout out to Herbie Brennan, who was the former owner. It used to be a twin rig in water ski racing, this particular boat, and it used to be called the Confederate. So they just shortened it up to the Con. Not sure whether that's any sort of indication about Herbie. I'll have to ring Herbie and ask him. But they've done a lot of work to that boat. They've replaced the transom, they've replaced the floor. It's running Optimax Mercury power on it. But yesterday's race was an enthralling one. Nutcase, Harry Backer and Shane Payton taking the win in both races, I should say. 2 races for the guys yesterday. Giggling second in both as well. So that's certainly bolstered their championship aspirations. In fact, current standings in Super Sport 65, Giggling, Mark and Liam Sutherland on top of the table with 146 points. Valentis is actually sitting in second spot, and they're on 139 points. Villain sitting on third and 119, and 112 points is Nutcase. Hun 74, Greggy Walters 66 points and 54 points for the Risky, who are not here this weekend. So at the moment, the Giggling boys just doing it absolutely beautifully. They just ran around in the back of the pack. They ran around in second place, I should say, and just collected valuable championship points, and they went from second in the championship yesterday to sitting atop of the table now. So white flag flying high on the Waterbird start boat. It's a Ring powerboat built in the UK, very cool old boat. Great that Steve's brought it down all the way down from New South Wales to be our start boat this weekend. And the flag drops, and we are racing, and Nutcase is going to be hard to beat out of that pole position, aren't they? As the rest of the field gets away very, very cleanly. And someone out the back door, I think it might be Stevie Polton out the back door a little bit, but a real charge down into turn number 1. This is where these crews need to be a little bit careful not to go over this 65 mile an hour speed cap. Smooth water, the adrenaline goes, the flag drops, and you just want to get going and go, go, go. So it's the top three boats from yesterday that head down into turn number one for the first time together. But it's Nutcase looking the goods as they come through with around about 3 or 4 boat lengths on to Giggling. Then another 1 boat length back to Pike Racing. Then it's Valentus, Villain, Cardiac Arrest on the inside, the Con on the hard outside, and Hun 74 running through there. And yes, he is running one up. So no Hayden Waski in this one as we've been told. So great field of boats as the pack all head down into turn number 2 for the first time. Stevie Polton just running through the start-finish area. He's a little bit out the back door. So up through turn number 1 we go, and Nutcase gets a very strong jump on everybody here, and that pole position is certainly just worth its weight in gold here at Geelong as they fire up the back straight into the dogleg turn. So it's Nutcase back to Giggling, then you've got Pike Racing. So basically a Razor Craft, a Force and a Velocity. Then it's Valentus running into fourth place. Villain right behind them on the inside. Then coming further back, Cardiac Arrest. A little bit of chine walking going on there from the Cardiac Arrest machine. Then Hun 74 heading up into the dogleg as well. And the Con, the ski race boys, Stevie Lancaster and Craig Dove. Head up through the dogleg as well. So they're having the Hun 74 machine, who ran into third spot yesterday in the end, but I believe broke out by 1 mile an hour. So was DQ'd, unfortunately, there for Greg Walters. So up through the top turn, and it is all the Razor Craft at the moment. Harry Boatman Backer and Shane Payton getting it done very nicely. The green machine over the Sutherland boys. Father and son combination of Mark and Liam. Mark the father, Liam the son. Very, very strong offshore powerboat racing and ski racing history in this family. In fact, Mark's father, Barry Sutherland, who I don't know if he's here this weekend, but the head of Mercury Racing in Australia for many, many years, and certainly a guy that has helped a lot of people, including myself, out in racing. So if you're watching, Baz, big shout out to you, mate. Sutherland boys are doing well, sitting on top of the table in this category at the moment. So as we see beautiful Cunningham Pier and the magnificent Royal Geelong Yacht Club in the background, we watch the Nutcase now down through to complete lap number 1. Harry Backer, he's running a lot of interim in that boat. Have a look at the Sutherland boys, having a cheeky look up the inside there. Might have listened to my commentary from yesterday, perhaps. On the outside, Pikey getting a little bit wild there as he chine walks the boat side to side. Doing a fair bit of wheel work in that V7 Velocity. Valentus, solid job there for the pack boys, Paddy and Mickey. Then the Villain comes through. These boys got thrown out of this boat. Danny and Dean Cayley got thrown out of the boat yesterday, but they came back to race in race number 2, so they're up and about. Then it's Hun 74, Cardiac Arrest, and the Con running through there. Peter Bobcat Coglandro and Charlie Diorio, the crew in the Cardiac Arrest. And of course Greg Walters in the Hun 74 machine doing a nice job. For all your results, folks, and everything that you need to know about offshore superboat racing in Australia, head to the website www.superboats.com.au, and all the socials as well, of course, Facebook, Instagram and YouTube. And you can go back and watch all of the old races on YouTube. Lots of Speed Week stuff on there. Unfortunately, you will have to listen to me. I know there's a downside to everything, but it's all there for you to watch, and you can go back for many years and enjoy lots of the old offshore races, and of course the current stuff that's happening now, as well as Stevie Polton in the loose wind comes past the commentary point. But we're having a look up on the dogleg now. Pike Racing, and just watching that little battle go on as they come into the dog leg between the Con on the outside and the Villain on the inside there. Those boys, it's Cardiac Arrest, I should say, Cardiac Arrest. Those boys actually had a spin out at round number 1 and ended up in the drink. So both them and Villain doing a similar sort of a job in the same holes as well. So you can do something, I can do better. It's a big chine walk there for Cardiac Arrest. They're really just battling a little bit with that boat's handling at the moment, I think. It's really rocking from side to side. As a driver, when the boat does that, you really need to be on your game on the steering of the boat and really try and put those corrections in. If you let the boat get too loose and rock from side to side, you'll end up having a big problem. So driver busy in that boat as we focus in on the Villain now. That boat looks a little bit more settled. And sometimes these smoother conditions can be the ones that will really induce that style of what we call chine walking, where the boat rocks from side to side. Because you can imagine the washes from the boats in front of you are going the same way as you're going. So it's a little bit like driving lengthways along corrugations, and the V-bottom boats want to fall from side to side. You have to really be on the steering wheel to really counteract that and stop it from happening. Some of the masters of it, the guy that's running in second at the moment, Mark Sutherland, and the classic example there is you saw him just drop outside the wash of the Razor craft, just working the wheel and not letting the boat high side itself over that crosswash. So one of the real masters of that. But Mark Sutherland having a go. But I'll tell you what, have a look at Pike Racing down the outside, and they are having a serious look at the Sutherland boys as they head up into turn number 2. Pikey probably just runs a little bit wide. I would have really wanted to be hard on the gunnel of the Giggling boat there as they come up through that corner. They do lose a bit of that ground that they made up, and it's just so hard to make it back when you've got that 65 speed cap. The Velocity, a very, very hard accelerating boat, so they can probably try and make up a little bit of ground being a lighter boat than the heavier force hull. And trying to make up that ground there. So let's run through race order at the moment. Nutcase running in P1, back to second place, Giggle and Pike Racing in third, Valentis running in fourth, Villain in fifth place, 174.6. Seventh is the Con, eighth is Cardiac Arrest, and Loose Wind are running in ninth place at the moment. But anything can happen in this one. We have got 21 and a half minutes still left to run as we watch the Nutcase machine. Harry the Boatman Backer and Shane Payton. These guys, Harry's the builder of these beautiful Razor crafts, running Mercury horsepower on the transom of that boat. V8 Mercury, 4-stroke, and a very nice bit of gear. The boat in second position at the moment, the Giggling running the older technology 250 horsepower, 3-litre Mercury Optimax 2-stroke engine. But in this category, it's not as big a difference as what we saw in the superboat category where, they're not speed limited. So if you've got an engine that's got a bit more power, you can make up a bit more ground. In this particular category, all of these boats well and truly capable of 65 mile an hour. So it's all about trying to maintain that speed, not go over, and also run the tightest line that you possibly can. Stevie Polton in the Loose Wind just going through there now. As we focus back on the back straight now, and it's still the Nutcase, but Pike Racing on the outside. And I tell you what, this is turning into a little bit of a desperate battle between these three. A little bit of a look in terms of the championship with these three boats. Currently Giggling, the boat that's running in, I'm going to say third now, because it looks as though Pike Racing may have overhauled Giggling. They are Giggling is the current championship leader. Nutcase has got a fair bit of work to do. They're a fair bit back in the championship, so they need a win here today. But Pike Racing, not entered in the championship, but certainly out there giving it a fair crack. And Pike Racing heads up into second place. Gee, I hope he doesn't break out here because he's gone past the Giggling boys. and pulls up alongside the Nutcase machine. So it is absolutely on at the head of the pack here now. Nutcase running hard on the pins there. The Geelong boys want to have a cheeky look up the inside as they tip the Geelong machine in the force hole. And running through, picking up on Valentis and Villain. The two V's out there having a epic battle between these two boats at the moment. The Valentis hull versus the Cootercraft Villain. And very good racing. The two Pack boys, Paddy and Michael Pack in the Valentis on the inside. And Danny and Dean Cayley in the Villain on the outside. They had a little bit of a swim yesterday. So they might be being, well, it doesn't look like they're being cautious. Cardiac arrest just as we pick them up coming down the front straight, but from the commentary box, but looking up into the dog leg now. And that battle continuing on at the head of the pack. Nutcase forced to the outside. But I tell you what, Geelong didn't take the opportunity to go up the inside there. But it does give them the inside run for the next corner, which is the corner back into the Cunningham Pier Straight. So very, very interesting stuff indeed at the moment out here on the course. That battle continuing on between Valentis and Villain as they go up through the dog leg. Villain on the inside through that particular corner. And they do make up that little bit of ground as expected. But Valentis, oh, the Pack boys, oh, was that a hose off? I think they copped a fair hose off there. And I'll tell you what, a big gap opened up. Paddy Pack had to back right out of that. I wonder if there'll be some discussion about that one after the race. I couldn't quite pick up what exactly went on, but it looked as though maybe the Villain ran a little bit wide or Valentis ran into their wash, got a bit of a hose off and just got a bit disoriented when they couldn't see. Plenty of spray through the boat, and it is quite disconcerting when that happens because you can't see where you're going. Maybe just discretion was a better part of valour and they backed out of it. They certainly lost a lot of ground in that little battle that was going on. Back to the head of the pack now, and it's Nutcase. And on the outside, Pike Racing. So the Razorcraft v the Velocity here at the moment. And Pikey in that super lightweight hull just having a couple of big walks there. But I tell you what, he's hanging onto it nicely, doing a very good job. And this battle is really becoming enthralling. Now, I tell you what, the Geelong boys, I think they might be thinking that these two other blokes might have broken out and pushing a little bit hard. Stevie Polton's going to come into the mix here as well, and the loose wind has lapped traffic now as Pikey just tries to get it turned around and just shoots up the inside. Polton's done a good job. He stayed out. Sutherland just hanging back there at the moment. I reckon he's thinking, oh, I don't know. But we have a new race leader, ladies and gentlemen. Pike Racing goes into the lead over the top of the Nutcase. Oh, the GPSs are going to be interesting after this one. So Pike Racing back to Nutcase, back to Geelong. Then it's Valentis back to Villain, although I'm not sure if that's the right way around. You'll find that it's going to be Villain, then Valentis. So Villain, just watching them through my commentary point come through. Then Valentis. And then you got Hun 74, the Con, Cardiac Arrest, and Loose Wind. As we continue to watch this battle up into the dog leg at the moment. And Pike Racing just pokes his nose back into the lead. Andrew Pike absolutely on the hard charge at the moment. Peter Hutchins is his navigator. And these boys doing a beautiful job in this V7 Velocity. Mercury 250R power on the back of that boat. I know a bit about it. It used to be mine. And Pikey doing a beautiful job in his boat. Super lightweight boat, so it is a little bit of a handful to hang on to that boat. It's a very fast boat. These conditions are suiting it nicely, though, and it's good to see the old girl going absolutely beautifully. They do run very wide, very wide. They've just given the lead back up again by running too wide there. What a shame. But the Nutcase boys go, yep, thank you very much, we'll take that. They run hard on the pins. You just can't leave the door open that wide. They will gobble you up every time. Hope you're enjoying round number 2 of the Australian Offshore Superboat Championships. This is our Supersport 65 category at the moment, and we have got an epic battle going on at the head of the pack between the Nutcase on the inside and the Pike Racing on the outside. Pikey probably struggling to get that boat turned in as hard as he'd want to. I've seen him run a little bit wide on a couple of occasions now, and now again he needs to just get right in on the gunnel of the Nutcase if he's going to try and hold these guys off. I'm going to assume that none of them are broken out at the moment, although that might be a fairly major assumption because the way that they've driven away from Geelong, and we know that Geelong, the current series champion and also sitting on top of the leader table at the moment in this year's championship, although we're only in round number 2, is generally the man to beat. And the way that they've just dropped out the back door a little bit, I think they might have just gone, you know what, we reckon you boys are broken out. We're going to let you go and do your thing. But new race leader, ladies and gentlemen, the Nutcase. Now Pikey, hard on the charge, and I don't know if that's 65 mile an hour. I reckon that might be a bit more. He's got plenty of trim in that V7 velocity. Has a big giant walk as he goes up into the top 10. Oh, definitely don't want to be Peter Hutchins. I'd be wanting to get out. Geelong runs through, running in 3rd spot, but I think they might be playing the smart game. Focusing in now, we've got Valentis coming down the back straight away, and Stevie P in the loose wind, Steve Polton. Guy that just loves his boat racing. And great to have him out here and running around. A little bit off the pace today, but more and more practice he gets, the quicker and quicker he goes. Valentis now, the 2 pack boys down through the bottom turn. So they've had that little bit of an issue, I think, where they potentially copped a little bit of a hose off from the Villain boat, but I'm not sure whether that's an issue or whether they just got a little bit tangled up. A little bit hard to tell. So picking up on the Nutcase there as they go through, and they have got a good break now on Pike Racing. So Nutcase back into the lead. Geelong coming for them as well as they go up through the dogleg. And focusing on Pike Racing, he's getting braver and braver in that boat. It's got more and more trim in it every time it goes past. As we see in the bottom of the screen, that's Villain going through there as well. Those boys attempting not to go for a swim today like they did yesterday. They spun the boat out and spat themselves out of the boat. So back straight away, race leader is still the Nutcase. Harry Backer and Shane Payton. Beautiful Razorcraft hull. And these boys build the Razorcraft hulls, and they're out here to try and improve their product, and they're certainly doing that at the moment. I'm just a little sceptical on whether the 2 lead boats may have broken out. But fortunately for me, I'm only the commentator. I don't have to make those decisions and tell them. But there's been an absolute fist fight at the front end of the pack in this one. We've got 11 minutes left to run, just under. So 30-minute race. So it's certainly been going on out there, but it's settled down a bit now. And the Razorcraft boys have now got themselves a pretty good break on back to Pike Racing, and then Geelong running in 3rd. But I can't help but feel like the Sutherland boys let them go, and they would have only let them go for one reason, and that reason would be that they reckon they might have broken out. So it's going to be interesting to see the GPSs at the end of this one. But we can only call what we see on the racetrack, and at the moment it's the Nutcase lead boat doing a great job. 2nd place, Pike Racing. 3rd place, Geelong. So we've got a Razorcraft back to a Velocity, back to a Force. All top Australian-built boat brands. This is a Cootercraft, another beautiful Australian boat brand, built by Mark the Russian down there at Malakuta. And it is the Villain. And that particular boat is the Villain model of the Cootercraft hulls. And the boys are doing a very, very nice job. Danny and Dean Cayley. Valentis goes through. Paddy and Michael Pack, they were having a good battle with the villain, but unfortunately that fizzled out after a little bit of a tay-ta-tay. Hun 74 goes through, ticks off another lap. And my men, Craig Dove and Stevie Lancaster in the con, running through the start-finish area here as well. Pick up on the cardiac arrest now. Peter Bobcat Cogliandro and Charlie Diorio doing it very, very nicely indeed. Just a little bit of chine walking in that boat. It seems to be more settled now. Early in the piece they were a little bit all over the shop. I wonder whether they might have some sort of an engine height or propeller choice issue in that boat. They're currently running back in 8th position. The con just in front of them, and Loose Wind just behind them. So we watch Loose Wind. Stevie P just come through. Member of the Victorian Outboard Club, representing for his club, the VO number on his boat there. Big shout out all the boys and gals at the VOC. We have so many wonderful powerboat clubs in, particularly here in Victoria, the VSBC, the AOPC that run this particular event, the MRSBC, the East Gippsland District Boat Club. Very, very lucky in this state to have so many wonderful powerboat racing clubs, and the AOPC is probably one of the oldest and one of the most famous running this particular OSC series. So, Backer, Harry the boatman, brings the nutcase down through the bottom turn, the little razor craft. He built this particular boat for this series. Generally these particular hulls have a different deck on them. They normally run a little cuddy cab style arrangement. And he's built this one specifically to go racing. Giggling now, the Sutherland boys have made a big move now on Pike Racing. So that's a big move on that lap, and Pike Racing has gone out the back door at a great rate of knots. So disappointing for Andrew Pike. He poked his nose up into the lead early in the piece. So don't forget, if you want to check us out www.superboat.com.au as we watch the villain go through, tick off another lap. That boat's sitting beautifully for round number 2 of the Australian Offshore Superboat Championships here at Corio Bay. Beautiful Geelong. Massive shout out to the Geelong City Council for all their wonderful support. We love coming to Geelong as Valentis just runs through, ticks off another lap, as too does Hun 74. Greg Walters doing a beautiful job. That's a 2100S Haynes hull, running Mercury Optimax power on the transom. And I love a good Haynes, as everybody knows. It follows my commentary. Owned plenty of them. The con goes through and ticks off another lap. Stevie Lancaster, Craig Dove, Dove Logistics Racing. They've been busy boys today. They raced in the 85 category, albeit only for a lap or two. And now they're out in the Supersport 65 category in their other boat. So out of one, into the next. Worked on their boat all night last night and working on it up until very early this morning. And unfortunately, their other boat, the Dove Logistics Racing Machine, didn't quite want to play the game, which I guess you expect when you only get a boat finished the night before the race. But we'll expect to see that boat back bigger and better. Giggling trekking down the back straight away, and now we head back to the head of the pack as Nutcase just goes through and puts a lap there on Stevie Polton, who's running in 9th spot. So you got the two bookends there, the race leader and 9th position just going through with each other. So that's the speed differential between first and last at the moment. You can see the Razorcraft really hard on it. Hopefully for their sake, the GPS says bang on 65 when they get back into the pit area. Never can tell. It's a very, very tricky game trying to keep these boats around that limit. Beautifully turned out boat with only about 4 minutes left to run here, so this could be they're running lap times of around 3:13, so they're probably, you never know, they might actually get a checkered flag this lap, depending on, it is up to the discretion of the judges when you're within X amount of time, and I'm not sure what that exact amount of time is, but it's not a lot, so you may actually see that go through. Giggling now, so in second place, third place, Pike Racing. They're back up into it again. They seem to back off there for a couple of laps, so I'm not really sure whether there was maybe an issue, but he went from hero to zero pretty quickly. He was leading the pack. Now he's headed back into third spot. Still good podium position and a great drive from Pikey, but to go that far back, I'm not sure. There must have been maybe some sort of issue. Villain goes through, ticks off another lap. So I'm just hearing, I think we have about a lap and a half left to run now. Valentis, Paddy and Michael Pack just down through in the bottom turn. That boat just running beautifully. They would like to see some rougher conditions. They took a race win in the rough conditions at round number 1 at Wyndham Harbour on the Saturday, which is fantastic to see. Young bloke build his own boat and goes out and wins races. But I think they're probably a little bit smooth today for those guys. Focusing back in now on Craig Dove and Stevie Lancaster. Not allowed to call him his nickname anymore. It's politically incorrect, allegedly. Cardiac Arrest comes through, ticks off another lap. Yamaha power on this boat. This boat's been tuned by Simon Gishas at Nispro Racing. And doing a great job with that Yamaha power on that Kudacraft Villain hull. Cardiac Arrest, they did have a problem at round number 1 and spat themselves out of the boat. So it's great to see them, plenty of G&D from those boys to get back out in the boat and be racing again and racing hard the way they are. It's fantastic. Okay, so we're picking up the nutcase now and looking at our timer, still a minute 15 left to run as we see them go down the Cunningham Pier straight. Beautiful city of Greater Geelong. Massive shout out to the Geelong City Council, our wonderful supporters here this weekend. And Scotty's put the yellow flag out for those of you watching. I don't think you have a yellow flag in offshore racing, but in circuit boat racing it means 1 lap to go, which will definitely be the case. So well picked up there, Scotland. Nutcase heads off on their final lap. Giggling running through, second spot for those boys. And third place, Pike Racing. Tell you what, I just feel it in my bones. This is going to be an epic season between these guys, battling it out. Really nothing in it at all. Coming down 10 seconds now till our 30 minutes is up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. So that is the half an hour, and the lead boat will get the checkered lap. That is the Nutcase, which is just heading up through the dogleg as we watch this little battle going on here. Oh no, we're looking at Nutcase. Little battle going on here. 174 on the inside, Valentis on the outside. So a good little battle going on between these two guys. Valentis currently in front of the 174, but potentially not for much longer. In fact, as they come down into this turn, Hun 74 will go up into, where are they? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th position, shuffling Valentis back to 6th place. So Hun 74 goes through up into 5th. Valentis back into 6th. So the Valentis boys, as I said, they'd probably like to see it a little bit rougher out there. They're not too happy with these smooth conditions. The Con, they're running in 7th position at the moment. Cardiac Arrest running in 8th spot. As we pick up on those boys. Peter Coglandro and Charlie Diorio doing a beautiful job. Peter Bobcat, they call him. Guess he drives a Bobcat okay, yeah? So don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, round number 3 is at Hervey Bay in Queensland. For those of you lucky enough to get up there, make sure you get up there. It is on the 11th and 12th of May, Hervey Bay. And the final round, round number 4, on the beautiful Gold Coast in Queensland, 27th and 28th of July. So make sure you get on that. Checker flag comes out. Put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen. Nutcase takes the win, the Razorcraft. Harry Backer and Shane Payton win the hotly contested Supersport 65 category. I want to see that GPS when they come in. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Giggling comes through 2nd place. Mark and Liam Sutherland, the father and son combination, their 4-hole. And a great drive there by Andrew Pike in Pike Racing, with Peter Hutchins doing navigating duty for 3rd place onto the podium. All results subject to GPSs being checked. So that is our top 3 home. Running in 4th place at the moment is Villain Racing, and those boys are doing a very, very nice job. Danny and Dean Cayley, after having a spin out and getting spat out of the boat yesterday, they collect some more valuable points. A beautiful Cootercraft Villain built by Mark the Russian down there at beautiful Malakuta, builds an epically good boat. And the Villain that comes through into 4th place. So it really is, pole position really plays a factor in this. When you look at the poles, Nutcase was on pole, Giggling was out of 2, Pike was out of 3, and they finished in that order. Put your hands together now. Greggy Walters in the Hun 74. He comes through in 5th place. Valentis will come through in 6th place. Paddy Michael Pack. Bit smooth from today, but they'll be happy with that, I think. It's more valuable championship points. So coming into 7th place now will be Stevie Lancaster and Craig Dove in the Con. Boys have had a big day, 2 boats, 2 races. This one finished at least. Stevie Polton, he'll come through for 9th place on the outside, and up the inside of him in the loose wind, it'll be the Cardiac Arrest into 8th place with Peter Coglandro and Charlie Diorio in a good run. So that wraps up our Supersport 65 category, and that'll wrap us up for the moment. We will be back with more racing. This is round number 2 of the Australian Offshore Superboat Championships here at beautiful Corio Bay for the city of Greater Geelong. Hope you're enjoying the racing, everybody at home, and here as well on site. We'll be back with our final race of the day, our Super Sport 85 and our Super Cat outboards in just a moment.